Hello and welcome. I'm Leanne Renfree from Switchboard, Victoria. Switchboard's been going for 25 years and we've been providing telephone counselling, referral information to Victoria's LGBTI communities for that time. We've got peer-based volunteer counsellors and we receive a number of different calls, and quite often our calls involve family. Over those 25 years, family's been an issue. So for this year, at Midsummer, we sponsored an event called Making Peace with Your Parents. And my guest today, Carol Ann Allen, who's a psychotherapist in private practice, delivered that talk. Welcome, Carol Ann.
Thank you very much.
So, Making Peace with Your Parents. We had a chat when we were talking about the event. Why do you think it's an important topic for our communities?
Well, you know, it's an important topic because we don't talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And yet our community is actually a community of migrants, of coming out migrants, and in some respects of coming out orphans. You know, we're a community filled with people who have had to leave home in order to find a more welcoming home where they felt safe and felt secure. And so family estrangement is not unfamiliar in our community. And in many ways, family estrangement isn't seen by people as the problem, it's often seen as the relief. And yet in my own work, I hear privately about the pain and about the sadness and the grief of these disconnections. And if these disconnections stay long-standing, they can actually have an impact on current relationships that people are having.
In what way could that be?
Well, because people are oftentimes reactive to things that originate in unresolved conflict with their families. And so someone might be experiencing any sign of conflict as a potential sign that, oh, this relationship is over, someone is leaving me, things like that. But also importantly, we know that family disconnection can be a big contributing factor to depression, to anxiety, substance use, and also to suicidality. So it's really a very important subject to be aware of. I'm not advocating that everybody go back and hug their families, but I am advocating that we are aware of the impact of this on us and that we get the help that we need.
So if people feel that they don't have the contact or little contact with their family, why would they bother perhaps trying to have a reconnection? Well,
it may be fine for them not to bother. But you know, what I hear a lot of, and I think what we see with our friends, is that we're often bothered by family, whether they're there or not. In fact, we actually have two sets of parents. We have our original parents, we have where we came from, and we also have the parents we carry in our heads. And those can be very loud people, very loud voices in our lives. And you only need to see how much anxiety and reactivity there is when Christmas comes along, and the thought of actually, you know, having to go back to family. But also, in a more quiet way, there's the reactivity to Christmas, which is about actually the recognition and being in touch with the loss of family or the absence of family and the loneliness of that. And even though we may fill our lives with other people and new people and important other people, there's still actually, we carry that loss with us.
Oh, I know, at Switchboard, around the holiday season is definitely a time where our call rates are increased, and it is around that dealing with what potentially could be a problem situation, or a couple where the partners split up for the day to go to the various families, because even if they're out to the families, it's not always a comfortable situation to be in.
That's right. And, you know, disconnection and distance does not mean that you don't have a relationship, or it means that it's the end of it. In fact, estrangement can be as powerful a relationship as if you were closely bonded with your family, because it has that amount of an impact on your psychic life, on your emotional life.
And often when it's around that time of the year, people saying, what are you going to do for Christmas? And if you don't see your family, it's difficult to say to somebody else who might have a perceived happier family life, to say, actually, I don't have contact.
That's right. And I think one of the other reasons why it's important to raise this issue is it can be hard to talk about that. There's such a kind of culture sometimes of acceptance and assumption that, oh, family is gone, thank goodness for that, in a way. And so if you're actually feeling differently about that, or if you're feeling in yourself new feelings about it as you grow and you experience new things in life as you get older, then I think it's important to actually, for us to open up the space to make it possible to reconsider the positions that we have, to reconsider that distance. And as I said, we have two sets of parents, so it's not just the distance from our actual parents, whether they're alive or not. It's actually transforming how we hold our experience of our families in our own minds.
Yeah, yeah. At the talk that you gave, you talked about family rules. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, families are cultures, and all cultures have rules of belonging, and certainly families have their rules of belonging. And coming out in many ways breaks those rules.
Sure does.
And in families where there is a brittleness, where coming out can lead to estrangement, often those families have quite strongly fixed, brittle rules to keep everyone together. So some of those rules might be around difference, around how, whether it's possible to have different opinions, how vulnerability is treated, whether it's possible to express emotions, to be open, to be real about problems. You know, if you've ever been at the dinner table in someone else's family, right? I don't know about you, but sometimes it can feel like you're on another planet.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Well, what you're feeling there is the culture of that family, and getting a sense of those rules, and in a way, a sense of, oh, this is very different from what I'm used to. And one other important piece of it is that as human beings, we're social beings, and so we are highly motivated to stay connected to the people that we depend on. And so we actually do absorb the ways in which we learn we have to be in order to stay connected.
That's right. So they're very complex issues, and I know Melbourne Psychotherapy is going to be running some workshops around these sorts of issues. So perhaps if people look at your website, they can find out more about that. And if someone wants to feel like they want to call Switchboard, our phones are available 3 p.m. to midnight, 7 days a week. Free call 1800 184 527, or web chat through our QLife network that we're partners in, qlife.org.au. So thank you, Carol Ann, for joining us today. You've been watching Bent TV.